The stagecoach did not wait for tears. It rolled away in a cloud of dust, leaving one woman standing alone in the middle of Redemption Creek. 5 months with child, no husband, no welcome waiting. Olivia Montgomery did not cry. She stood straight, one hand resting over the gentle curve beneath her ribs, the other gripping a worn carpetbag that held the last pieces of her former life. The Colorado sun pressed down hard. The town watched, and towns like Redemption Creek always watched. If you have ever stood somewhere you did not belong, you already know that feeling. Across the street, a tall cowboy leaned against the hitching post outside the general store. Hat low, arms folded, quiet. Owen Hart had seen cattle driven through blizzards and men break under smaller burdens than the one that woman carried. But she did not bend, not under the sun, not under the stairs. That caught his attention. Olivia felt eyes on her and turned. Their gazes met for one brief moment before she looked away. She had seen that look before. Curiosity, judgment, calculation. She had left all of that behind in Boston, or so she had hoped. Miss, his voice carried steady across the dirt road. You need some help. Her chin lifted. I am quite all right. She was not. The hotel had turned her away. The job promised by a cousin no longer existed. The proprietor's eyes had lingered too long on her belly and not long enough on her resume. Redemption Creek had already made its opinion known. Owen stepped closer, stopping at a respectful distance. Stage won't be back for a week, he said. You got somewhere to stay? Silence stretched between them. She could lie, but she was tired of lying. No, the word felt like surrender. Owen nodded once, not in pity and understanding. My ranch is 3 miles out, he said. Need a housekeeper. Cooking, keeping things in order. Room included. She studied him carefully. Tall, broad shoulders, weathered face. But his eyes were not hard. You would hire me? She asked quietly. In my condition? His answer came without hesitation. Your condition ain't my concern. Your character is. The wind shifted. Something inside her, tight for months, loosened just a little. Within the hour she was seated beside him in his wagon, the town shrinking behind them. She did not ask many questions. She had learned that survival sometimes meant stepping forward, even when certainty did not follow. The Hart Ranch rose over the hill like something built by steady hands. A strong 2-story house, a wide barn, smoke curling from the chimney. It was not Boston. It felt safer. A boy came running first, about 12. Bright eyes, dust on his boots. Uncle Owen. Then a limping foreman followed behind. Quiet but observant, Owen introduced her simply. This is Miss Montgomery. She'll be keeping house. No explanation, no apology. Inside, the home was plain but solid. A large wood stove, a long table worn smooth by years of meals, bookshelves that surprised her more than she expected. Upstairs, a small room overlooked a garden gone wild. I can bring it back, she said softly, already measuring soil in her mind. Owen nodded. Suppers at 6, 7 hungry men. I will manage. And she did. That first evening she cooked as though her future depended on it, because it did. Bread rose, her stew simmered, plates emptied. No one spoke of her belly. No one asked about her ring. Days became weeks. She rose before sunrise, cooked, cleaned, rebuilt the garden. Jesse, the boy, followed her like a shadow, hungry for stories and warmth. Owen never pried. He never stared. When town gossip reached the ranch, he cut it down with quiet firmness. Her past is her business, he told a churchwoman once. And mine ain't yours. That night, Olivia stepped onto the porch where he sat with his pipe and the dark horizon before him. You did not have to defend me. Yes, he said evenly. I did. The air between them shifted. For the first time since Boston, she felt something unfamiliar. Not shame, not fear. Belonging. And just as that fragile peace began to take root, a shadow from her past started riding west, as she did not know it yet. But it was coming straight for Redemption Creek. The first snow came early that year. It dusted the Hart Ranch in white and turned the fields quiet. Inside the house, warmth held steady. Olivia stood at the kitchen table, kneading bread, her movement slower now. The baby shifted beneath her ribs, strong and alive. Each movement reminded her that the life she carried no longer belonged to fear. It belonged to the future, Owen watched from the doorway without speaking. He had grown used to the sound of her humming, to the way Jessie laughed again, to the way the house felt alive after years of silence. He told himself he had only hired a housekeeper. He knew that was no longer true. That afternoon, while loading supplies in town, a well-dressed stranger approached him outside the general store. Her polished boots, Eastern coat, clean hands. "Sir," the man said, "I'm looking for Olivia Montgomery." The name struck like a fist. "Who's asking?" "Jonathan Pierce." The air went cold. So this was the man, the one who had promised marriage. The one who had vanished. The one who had left her to carry disgrace alone. "He works at your ranch, I'm told." Jonathan continued smoothly. "I've come to correct an unfortunate mistake." Owen's jaw tightened. "Miss Montgomery has rebuilt her life," he said evenly. "You don't get to walk in and decide what needs correcting." Jonathan's smile was thin. "I intend to offer marriage. Restore her name. My father insists." There it was, not love, not remorse, reputation. Owen stepped closer. "You'll speak to her only if she wishes it." Jonathan lifted his chin. "Yet I traveled 2,000 miles." "She traveled farther," Owen replied quietly. Alone. The message was clear. Jonathan would wait. When Owen returned to the ranch, he found Olivia by the window, sunlight catching copper strands in her hair. He had faced storms with less dread than what he felt then. "I met someone in town," he said. Her hand stilled. "Who?" "Jonathan Pierce." Color drained from her face. For a moment, she did not breathe. "He's here." "Yes." Silence filled the kitchen. The past had found her. "He wants marriage," Owen continued. "Says he's come to make things right." Her laugh was soft and bitter. "Right." She sank into a chair, one hand resting protectively over her belly. For months she had imagined this moment. She had rehearsed speeches, anger, tears. Now she felt only clarity. "And what do you think I should do?" she asked quietly. The question pierced him. This was the moment a selfish man would speak from desire. Owen chose honor. "I think," he said carefully, "you deserve a man who stands beside you when things are hard, not when they're convenient." Her eyes searched his face. "And if that man is not Jonathan, then you'll know it." She nodded slowly. "I will see him." The next morning, snow still fresh on the ground, Owen drove her into town. He wrapped blankets around her legs, tucked them in like something precious. He waited outside the hotel while she faced the past. Every minute felt longer than a winter night. When she finally stepped onto the porch, she walked alone. "Can we go home?" she asked softly. "Home?" The word settled deep in his chest. "Halfway back to the ranch," she spoke. "And he didn't come for love," she said. "He came because his father threatened him." Owen kept his eyes forward. "I asked him if he loved me," she continued. He couldn't answer. Her hand slipped into his. "I told him no." The wagon rolled on through snow and sunlight. "I told him I had found something better than respectability," she said. His heart pounded. "And what is that?" he asked quietly. "Integrity." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Then she gasped. This time it was not mild discomfort. "Owen," she whispered, "this is different." Fear struck hard. "The baby?" "Yes." They were still a mile from the ranch. He snapped the rearness and urged the horses faster. By the time they reached the house, her contractions had grown strong and steady. Frank ran for the midwife, and Jessie was sent to fetch more hot water. Night fell. Hours passed. Owen paced the hallway as cries of pain cut through the walls. Each sound felt like a blade. He prayed the way men pray when they are helpless. Just before dawn, a new sound broke the darkness. A newborn's cry, strong, fierce, alive. The midwife opened the door, tired but smiling. "Mother and daughter are well." "Daughter." Owen stepped inside. Olivia lay pale but radiant, cradling a tiny bundle. "She's perfect," he whispered. He held the child carefully. Small fingers wrapped around his own with surprising strength. Something shifted inside him in that moment. Not obligation, not duty, love, fierce and certain. Olivia watched him with tears in her eyes. "I never thought my daughter would begin her life in the arms of a good man," she said softly. And the room grew quiet. He placed the baby gently back in her arms. "I need to tell you something," he said. His voice was steady now. "When you came to this town, I saw a woman fighting the world alone." He met her gaze. "I ain't scared of your past, Olivia." He took her hand. I want to stand beside you, and if you'll let me, I'll be father to this child in every way that matters." The words hung between them. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she smiled, and the future began to take shape. Olivia did not answer him right away. She looked down at her daughter first, the tiny chest rising and falling, the fragile life that had already survived shame, whispers, abandonment, and a hard winter on the frontier. Then she looked back at Owen. He was not a polished man, not soft-spoken like a Boston gentleman. Yet his hands were rough, his boots worn, his shirt sleeves rolled up like he was ready for work even now. But his eyes did not waver. He was not offering rescue. He was offering partnership. He would raise another man's child. She asked quietly. "I would raise our child," he answered. The word settled in the room. "Our," he continued, steady and plain. "I don't care who her father is by blood. I care who stands beside her when she takes her first steps, who teaches her right from wrong, who shows her what a man is supposed to be." Emotion tightened her throat. "For months," she said softly, "I believed this baby would always carry a mark." "She will," Owen replied. Olivia's breath caught. "The mark of being loved," he finished. Silence filled the room. Not heavy, not uncertain, sacred. I thought my life had ended," Olivia whispered. "When I found out I was with child, I thought everything I had built was gone." She looked at her daughter again. "But perhaps it was only beginning." Owen stepped closer. "I ain't scared of your past," he said once more. "I'm asking to be part of your future." Her answer came without hesitation this time. Yes, it was not loud. It did not need to be. He leaned down carefully, mindful of the sleeping infant between them, and pressed his forehead to hers. Outside, dawn broke over Redemption Creek, and something old ended. Something new began. They were married in spring. No grand affair, just a simple church, fresh wild flowers, and a handful of townsfolk who had learned the gossip fades faster than truth. But when Owen publicly declared he would adopt little Eleanor Grace as his own, something shifted in Redemption Creek. The whispers quieted. Respect grew. Not because Olivia had married, but because Owen had chosen her without condition. Years passed. The ranch prospered. The garden flourished under Olivia's steady hands. Flowers lined the walkways. Children's laughter filled the yard. Eleanor grew strong and fearless, riding beside Owen before she could properly reach the stirrups. He taught her cattle work, honesty, and how to stand tall when the world tested her. He never once treated her as anything less than his own. Not in public, not in private, not in his heart. More children followed, twin boys than daughters. The house that once felt quiet became alive with footsteps and bedtime prayers. On warm evenings, Owen and Olivia sat on the porch as the sun dipped behind the mountains, the same porch where she once stood, afraid of judgment. Now she rested against his shoulder peacefully. One night, years later, Helena asked her mother a question. "Were you scared when you came here?" Olivia smiled gently. "Yes." "And what made you stay?" Olivia looked toward Owen, who was teaching one of the boys how to mend a fence. "A man who was not afraid of my stories," she said. Time softened her copper hair with silver. It deepened the lines around Owen's eyes, but it never weakened the promise he made. On their 20th anniversary, he handed her a small locket. Inside were tiny portraits of their children, and beneath them, engraved in careful letters, were the words he had spoken the night Eleanor was born. "I ain't scared of your past," said Olivia. Closed the locket slowly. "It seems like yesterday," she whispered. "And a lifetime ago," Owen replied. They stood together in the yard watching grandchildren run where cattle once grazed. Their beginning had not been clean. It had not been easy. It had not been approved by polite society. But it had been honest, and in the end, that was enough. Because sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is look at someone carrying shame. The world handed them and say, "I see you and I am not afraid." If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like the video and subscribe for more stories of courage, second chances, and love on the frontier.